Welcome to the M&A Unplugged podcast. Our mission is to help you be better prepared for your business acquisition or sale. Being prepared will ensure you maximize returns and minimize risks. This is M&A Unplugged with your host, Dominic Rinaldi.
Welcome back to M&A Unplugged. I'm your host, Dominic Rinaldi. We've spent a fair amount of time in previous episodes covering the topic of due diligence. There's one area of diligence, however, that doesn't get nearly enough attention, and that is social media due diligence. Understanding the value of a company's digital and social media presence and their assets is critical to understanding how the company stacks up to its competition and what the immediate prospects for that company are. Nowadays, if a company doesn't have a real focus on social and digital marketing, it is losing ground fast. Today, I am talking with John Vuong, the owner of Local SEO Search based out of Toronto, Canada. John and his firm specialize in helping companies maximize the value of their social media assets. His company has also gotten involved in helping buyers and sellers conduct due diligence on a company's current digital footprint. As a buyer, you will absolutely want to understand the strengths and weaknesses of a target company's social media assets. As an owner, it's smart to get your arms around this well in advance of considering a sale so you can maximize the value of your business. Today, we break down at a high level components around website design and conversion performance, sales tracking, SEO rankings, ads performance, social media presence, reviews and what role that plays in your company's health, and email marketing. Social media and digital is only growing in importance. Understanding the value of this asset is critical to evaluating the overall merit of a particular acquisition. Before we get into today's episode, however, if you want to avoid the common deal pitfalls and the risk of losing substantial dollars, you need to know how ready you really are to buy a business. Because I believe proper preparation is so critical to your deal success, we have published a catalog of free resources to help you be better prepared. You can access these resources at k2advisor.com, K2advisor.com. Being prepared is critical to ensuring that you maximize returns and minimize risks. Thank you for being here and hope you enjoyed today's show. Hey, John, welcome to M&A Unplugged.
Hey, Dominic. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be on your show today.
Yeah, all the way from Canada, right?
Yes, Toronto, Canada. Exactly.
Well, so I'm really excited to dive into the topic today, which I think is really relevant. We're going to talk about social media due diligence and digital due diligence that buyers should be doing, as they're contemplating an acquisition. And along the way, owners, what they should know about their social media presence. But before we dive into today's topic, maybe you could give everybody a quick backgrounder on yourself, how you got into this space, what you're doing today.
Yeah, definitely. So I started a digital agency that focuses primarily on search engine optimization, so SEO, back in 2013, so 8 years. Bootstrapped it to now forming a team to now deliver across global companies that need services for full service SEO. Prior to that, I actually spent 10 years in advertising sales, from traditional advertising sales to online performance based, to then working at Yellow Pages for 5 years, where I got a good footprint of understanding who I wanted to become, who I wanted to target and service, and who I ultimately wanted to be known as in terms of that trusted source advisor for SEO. So that's a little bit about myself. And right now we really just service people that are interested in SEO, but I know this is a deep dive to really uncover what due diligence is required when you're purchasing a business in terms of that digital landscape. and all your asset pieces that are included from the website, social media platforms, reputation, as well as link profile. Everything needs to be in alignment so that you understand what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, so you took my first question, which is what is social media due diligence? And I think you hit on a lot of it. It's your website, it's your social media platforms, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, all that sort of stuff. The reviews that you have, your email marketing, how you track things. So I'm excited to dive in, but why should it matter? When a buyer is contemplating acquiring a business, they have so much on their plate. They've got to look at the financials. They might have environmental issues. They might have other sorts of requirements that they're looking at, including getting a bank loan. Why is the social media piece, so important and something not to overlook?
It's because of the brand. If you're acquiring a company, you want to know what other people are thinking and saying, as well as the competitive landscape. You want to understand like what has been accomplished the last couple of years to build up to a point where they want to sell the business. What is the reputation like, and what kind of, I guess, foundation did they put? How much emphasis and effort did they actually put into the website creation, that forming the profile of becoming a thought leader or authoritative figure? How much inbound traffic are they currently getting as opposed to just direct traffic or referral traffic? You want to uncover a lot more to understand, like, is there still leads that are coming to the website that is predictable inbound leads versus you still need to pay for all the traffic? That's a huge component to understand, because when you're buying a business, you want to project 3 years down the road, 5 years, if it's going to be worth it to purchase or start from foundation, right?
Well, and from my perspective, it is so much easier to have leads coming inbound to your company than having to hire a sales force, train them, manage them, incent them, motivate them, and have them go out and find leads. And that's not to say that, that's not an important component, but if you could be generating inbound interest on a regular basis, what a big step up that is, and a head start you have. I do want to say, though, to the M&A Unplugged audience, buyers in particular who are looking at businesses, just because a company doesn't have a great social media presence doesn't mean you shouldn't do that deal, because it could mean that there's tremendous opportunity for you. And what you need to be looking at is, are there material things that would make it hard for you to grow the business? And then maybe you need to pass. But if it's that they just haven't invested, that could be a tremendous opportunity.
Exactly. You hit it right on the nail. There's a lot of growth potential for people that hasn't invested a lot of money on their digital assets. That would be the website profile in terms of like building their influence in the marketplace, in their industry niche or locale, right? Or their social platform, let it be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. If they invest a lot of time and effort into creating an established brand recognition to then generate more inbound lead traffic as opposed to paid traffic, there's a major difference in terms of perception as well as lead source and quality leads as well.
Absolutely.
But by doing due diligence, you'll uncover what the upside is and what was actually accomplished, and if there's gaps that you can actually invest in to take it to the next level, to 2x, 5x, 10x that business, so that it will be way worth a lot more, so that when you want to exit the next time, you can definitely reap a huge amount of rewards on it.
Absolutely. All right, so let's break down each of these areas one by one if we can. And I think the easiest place is, let's start with the website. What are the biggest things that a buyer should be looking at as it relates to the website when they're trying to assess, what the current ownership has really been built there?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of web archive content as well as different, stages of the design aspect. So you can actually go on Google and see if it was transformed multiple times, at what year, what stage, and what it looked like prior. What were they trying to sell? How did they pitch it? What did their go-to-market strategy, and did they pivot along the way? So the messaging. And then there's the profile of links. You want to uncover what kind of inbound or outbound links was established. Did they do a lot of press release? Did they get a lot of recognition through association, speaking, book sales, podcasts, whatever it may be, to get some inbound links to build your credibility? And then, of course, what is the content being put out there that is sticky, evergreen? Are they established in the brand so that maybe they've already been published on some of the larger press sites like Medium, Inc., Entrepreneur, Forbes? You don't know that until you do due diligence. And then, of course, it's all about reputation as well. So what is their reputation look like? Case studies, white papers, all that on third-party sites, not on their own existing website. What's more important is what has other people taken the time to say on third-party platforms like Google and Facebook. And if there's review sites that's specific to their industry, take a look at that. Dig deep into what's positive, what's negative, and why.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess also probably traffic, right? What kind of traffic is coming to the website? Is it organic? Is it paid traffic? And what's the trend of that traffic, right?
Yeah, definitely. So if you can get the full profile of Google Search Console, Google Analytics, you can dig deep and do a full audit on how long people stay on your website, what countries are residing, which devices, what are some of the key search terms, how long are they staying, are they converting when they come to the website? Yeah. Yes, if it is organic traffic or not, what is the conversion rate from the traffic that is getting out there? And of course, there's a social traffic, referral traffic, direct traffic. There's a lot of different sources out there, and you can get all the refinement from Google Analytics when you dig deep.
Now, and assuming that an owner is not going to just give a buyer access to their Google console to see all of this, it's possible for a company to pull reports, right, and print up those reports and deliver those to a buyer so they can get a sense for what the traffic trends have looked like and what the split is between organic and paid search and things like that. Correct?
So you don't get the full insight.
Yep.
If you don't have full access.
Yep.
There's software out there that can predict. And these are the software we use for competitive analysis. When we take on a client to do an SEO campaign, we sniff the 5 major competitors in their local and industry specific that we want to compete with, to figure out what are the trends, what are the traffic sources, what are the keywords that people are going after, what is lacking in their existing assets so that we can go after potential opportunities as well.
Yeah, boy, I think you just brought up a great point, and something that people rarely ask for, but is how is the current company's website performing compared to their top competitors, right? And these are reports that companies like yours can pull, and you really can get a lot of information and see, if you're losing ground, where you're losing ground, and what you can do to make it up. And I think it's important stuff to understand.
Yeah, and ultimately it's the authority, right? And if you want to be known as a leader in the industry, a branded source for that specific keyword or service or product that people are seeking out, you want to do your due diligence to see, okay, this is what they say in the the contract that they are known as. You Google it to see where they're actually ranking or not.
Absolutely.
Do your simple due diligence. Of course, there's way more software for that can really refine, like geo-target, the refinement of different variations of keywords, semantic keywords. And then you can then analyze to see if it makes sense or not to go ahead, or if there's opportunities that you can uncover and go after when you do purchase the company.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on from website and let's move over to social media. Your Facebook profile, your LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever it might be. What should people be looking for there?
Yeah, so there's, again, I would say the brand is very important. So how long has it been established, and how active have they been across all social platforms? However, you need to also understand who the profile and type of client, that avatar, the type of client that they are trying to attract. in terms of their ideal customers. And if it is images specific, Instagram's huge, Pinterest is huge. If it's video, then you got to go YouTube, right? And to see what kind of subscribers are. If it is influence marketing, Instagram's huge as well. So is Facebook. And so you can distinguish like, okay, if that's one of the major ways to generate a lot of traffic, leads, and customers, who has posted things on those social media platforms? How many followers do they have? How many shares, likes, comments on any of the posts? How engaged are the audience members? And you can kind of get an analysis through just a feel, right? By navigating a couple scrolls into it, like a couple years of posts, to see how active they are, how many followers, subscribers they are, and how engaged it is. Because then you can actually reference that data to the Google Analytics data to see if it translates to actual deliverables in terms of like leads or customers acquired.
And when you talk about engagement, just to bring this to life for folks a bit, what you mean, I think, is are people responding and writing messages and commenting about posts or information or press releases or whatever it is, right? How engaged are they with the company versus are they just passive and they follow, but they're not really, invested in that company, correct?
Exactly. And there's a big difference, right? People that are, someone that likes a post or follows a company, they may not be customers, right? However, there's the opposite of there's a lot of customers that aren't even on social media as well, and they don't spend a lot of time on it. So understand your product and service and the industry specific. How many of them are on social actively seeking out your product and service? And what's the percentage like? How much new customers are coming from social media versus your website versus any trade show or sales reps or any other marketing channels that you have in place? Yeah. And understand, like you as a business owner that is buying this new business, there's a lot of gaps and opportunities. You just have to uncover and dig deep to figure out like where can you pick your battles and acknowledge how you can grow and scale your business to the next level, right?
Yeah. And let me, another thing about social media here that we in our company have learned the hard way, and not to fall into the trap of just looking at traffic numbers, right? It's great to see traffic. It's certainly great to see that traffic is increasing, but what really matters is that traffic generating leads and opportunities for the company. So connect the dots there for everybody, John. What should they be looking for there? Obviously traffic, but then what should that company be doing to make sure that that traffic is actually generating what it should be, right?
So I think, the most important thing is return on investment and quality inbound lead, ready to buy customers. I feel a lot of people are looking at a lot of the analytics completely wrong because they don't really put a lot of emphasis in what triggers people's decision to actually convert into a phone call, a form inquiry, or an actual sale. If it's a product play, you can easily put tracking on conversion rate because someone's actually e-commerce, credit card, tracking with a landing page, and exactly how much people are spending based on how much money you're investing in ad dollars spent. But when you're doing a larger service-based, higher ticket item, like a B2B business or service product business, then, maybe it's a relationship play. It's a longer process. And maybe it is, yes, followers, likes, shares, that will then translate to potentially coming to your website, that will check out your reviews, that will check out blog sources, check out your profile before they make an inquiry. But these are the type of clients that you want to cultivate, which is a multi-touch point kind of client. And numbers, again, with traffic, I would really drill down to revenues, organic traffic on your website that convert to real revenue, like triggers, phone calls, form inquiries, or ready to buy customers.
Yeah, and you brought up a really important point, and that's tracking. And so for, whether you're an owner of a business today or you're a buyer, it's really important that a company like John's put in the proper tracking on all of your social media accounts and all of your posts So you know where that traffic's coming from, because without the tracking, you can't connect the dots, right? It's one thing to promote and get traffic, but you have to know where it's coming from or you don't know where to invest.
And this is, marketing 101, right?
Right.
And it's foundation. And if you have a lot of different advertising forms, you need to know what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
And for a savvy business owner to want to sell at the peak, they will know all the metrics. And for someone like that's looking to purchase, there's going to be gaps and opportunities that they have probably done a poor job, that you can refine and get better and figure out what's going to optimize your business to get real traffic that generates good potential customers.
Yeah. And the tracking requires then a good CRM or some sort of contact management system so you could collect all that information, right? So that's probably the other thing that you want to be doing in your digital, due diligence, correct?
So tracking, there's different types of tracking. The UTM code, which is the code that you can put on your website that tracks when someone lands on the website and all the actions until it goes to the actual contact form or the call number. So that's the most absolute way that you want to track a behavior of someone come to your website. Then, of course, when someone fills that form, it should automatically go to a CRM that allows for more of a funnel, right? Let it be an email drip campaign. It could be an email sequence, follow-up sequence, lead magnet where, a download a free marketing piece or whatever it may be. And then of course there's different pools, right? You need to segment your email database from active clients, prospective clients to just cold leads, right? This is marketing. Again, there's a lot of different things that you can do when you start collecting information and data to better understand who your customers are, who you want to attract, and who you want to be known as in your industry, and what kind of dollar figure. Because when you start segmenting all this and understanding which customers actually buy, then segmenting how much are they spending, what's the lifetime value of the customer, what was the acquisition cost of that customer. There's a lot more detail that can be uncovered when you start doing things properly.
Yeah, and this is overwhelming, right? So if you're a buyer looking to buy a business, you're not going to get all of these answers in due diligence, right? It's impossible to do all of this. It could maybe take, months to figure this out. And an owner would need to let you into their, all of their profiles and let you, into all of their accounts, which likely isn't going to happen. But the highest levels, what John is talking about, you can certainly validate. You can figure out what's the social media presence. Is it driving traffic? Are you collecting emails as a result of that? And then, John, isn't the goal, one of the really big goals nowadays is collect emails, people who opted in. So now once you have their email in your CRM, now you have a way to directly communicate.
Exactly. You want to collect as much information from email, company name, telephone number, whatever it may be, so that you can follow up with a sequence. Like that database that you own is the lifeline of any type of business. That's pretty much why you're buying a business, right? That customer database. Hopefully they have a prospect database as well, or lead source database, because it's worth a lot more to have warm leads that people have already reached out, but they didn't decide yet. And maybe it's a 3-6 month decision buying process. So they're understand, acknowledge the potential once you do things properly.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen any number of clients really dive in and try to understand what that client database is. And that's a big piece of what you're buying. And I think you make a really good point, the prospective database. What have they done to cultivate future leads, especially if you're in a B2B environment, right? Because they may not be buying today, but they could be buying 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road.
Exactly. That big ticket item, it's a relationship play. And if it's a small widget that's $50, yes, it's a very, very fast, easy conversion rate. But that $20,000 deal or $50,000 deal takes a lot longer for it.
Absolutely. So John, how about reviews? What can buyers and owners be doing about, tracking their reviews? And what sort of diligence goes into, understanding what the public thinks of that company?
Yeah, reputation management is so critical. I would first off, if you're about to buy a company, just Google the brand with reviews next to it. It gives you all the sites, third-party sites of where the reviews actually exist, and you can check out all the reviews, good and bad, and inquire during this due diligence phase what happened during this situation. Find out from the business owner, like, give me a perspective of what's going on in terms of your customer experience, customer service. Are you taking care of your customers? Are they loyal? What's the retention rate? Why are they complaining? Why is there so many negative reviews or positive ones? It has to be genuine, right? So my suggestion is, if you haven't already, start doing digging, right? Because if it's all 5 stars, something seems fishy, because no business is perfect. If it's very negative and poor, find out, is there an opportunity there, or is it because they haven't even approached all their clients to get reviews, right? And that could be a huge opportunity for you to build a more stronger, stable brand that will then cultivate way more leads coming in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. John, how about we had a situation in a deal about maybe 18 months ago, where after the deal closed, it was found out, wasn't disclosed. I mean, the owner of the business didn't even know this, but they actually didn't even own some of their social media, sites, and they didn't have ownership. That actual employees had ownership. They hadn't done it under the company's profile. So how does ownership play into this, and what can a buyer be doing to make sure, and an owner be doing to make sure that all of the assets are owned properly under the company brand, and that, they can truly be transferred?
Yeah, and this is what I see a lot for a lot of these business owners. They consult a business to build a website and create all the profiles. However, they don't have full ownership. They don't have full login details, admin access. My suggestion would be talking to the owner to make sure they have full access to every single asset piece, from website, hosting, domain access, email, and then every single social media platform that's out there with their brand. Because with that, people can tarnish your reputation, right? They can do anything, sell your login details, take control of it, and do whatever they want. So that's the first thing I always do when I take on a new client in SEO, to make sure everyone owns all their major branded asset pieces. But in terms of due diligence, I mean, if they don't even know what the access is, it's very difficult for you to gain control, right? Because that's a part of their brand. They should already know it.
Yeah.
So just make sure there's a clause that you can ensure that they own everything before everything's passed over and signed off.
Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes owners, depending on how involved they are in the business, may not understand some of this. They may not, know about even some domains that they might have bought 10 years ago. They had no idea that they owned them, and they had a media company buy them for them. And so it's important to, really get your arms around all of your assets and make sure that you've secured them.
Exactly. And digital assets today is so important, just like a bricks and mortar branded name search, right? It's your brand name, but on a digital landscape where nowadays everyone's spending all their time consuming information digitally. And so your reputation online, like your URL, your name, branded name search, your asset pieces across websites, social, third-party profiles are so important in terms of credibility.
Yeah. Digital and social media presence, it seems so imperative. I can remember even just a couple of years ago calling on clients in certain industries, and they still didn't think it was important to have a digital and social media, like some, old line manufacturing businesses who had a discrete client base didn't think it was important. But the world is changing, right? And I think it's important for every business to have these assets and control their name and their presence out there.
Exactly. And it's so important to understand what you don't know as well. Like, people don't understand. They don't have to understand this all. But when it comes to selling it, it's like owning your company, right? When you own your company, you should know a lot more than the average employee, right?
Yeah.
So get everything you can from every person in your company. to disclose all the information that's important for you to close on the deal, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't know, inquire, talk to an expert, find out from people that actually do this on a regular basis to support you so that they're on your side to make sure that it's a clean process without any bumps on the road.
And John, I know that's how we came to know each other, because you offer a service like this, right? You'll do a social media diligence for an acquirer, or do it for an owner who's potentially going to put their business on the market, correct?
Exactly. We do a lot of SEO campaigns, audits to help clients, business owners to either sell or they're planning on selling in the next couple of years, to position themselves so that they can get top dollars, or someone that's acquiring to do full audits on that brand to ensure that you're doing as much due diligence and checks and balances to ensure that it's a clean business altogether.
Yeah, yeah. Well, John, this has been tremendous information. Anything that we didn't cover, or any parting comments that would be important for the Unplugged audience to understand?
Yeah, in terms of like digital presence, it's very complex for a lot of people. SEO in particular, because SEO is a lot of touch points to ensure that you're on that first page for a lot of the branded terms, as well keywords that people may search for. If you're not comfortable with it, there's people out there that are. And I know there's a book that you are a part of and I am a part of, I read all the time, Who Not How. Don't try to figure out everything you need to figure out. Like, you as a business owner, you probably delegate. You're probably a leader of, guiding the ship. So there are experts out there that will support you along the line. Make sure that you reach out. If you're not sure, ask. Find out if people in your team can help you. If not, reach out to a consultant or a specialist, someone that's gone through similar ropes, to make sure that it's a smooth transition for you.
Yeah, great advice. We say that all the time. Hire specialists. It'll save you money and it'll save you heartache at the end of the day.
Exactly.
John, thank you so much. If people wanted to reach you, how could they get in hold of you?
Yeah, you can check out my website. It's www.localseosearch.ca. We're based in Toronto, Canada, but we service clients all across North America and UK, Australia.
Awesome. John, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Dominic.
Keep up the great work. Thanks.
Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. All of today's information will be available in the show notes. If you enjoy our content, please remember to subscribe and review our podcast. I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of the M&A Unplugged podcast. And until then, please remember that scaling, acquiring, or selling a business takes time, preparation, and the proper knowledge.